Okay, so where I left off was apparently important because they haven't not stopped since. I'm telling me stuff. Man. So, okay, what I was about to say when I had forgotten was in those government papers, they had said that the people that they see as unimportant, people who they see as like disposable, it went through the list, and it is people who have mental illness, people who have disabilities, people who, criminals. So all the things that they have been creating so purposefully, that they are, they see them as disposable. They see them as like they can test on them. And that is something I had seen over and over and over being shown to us in the movies. When I was watching these old movies, I was like, oh my God. Like, it's why, like, even in that show Asylum, I think, the one series, American Horror Story, when he did the season of Asylum. And then you can look, because there's even a Christina Ricci movie. It's a true story about, she was a journalist who went in to try and this was way back in the 1800s or something. She went in and tried to infiltrate to see what was really going on in the insane asylums because of all the rumors, because the legit, like how they showed in American Horror Story, it was like Nazi scientists were in there running that shit, man. And so they had, they were showing that whole thing. And so then, you know, I don't know what all the rumors were or whatever, but so this girl, and she was well off, but she wanted to be known for something more, you know, like, you know, more than, she wanted to be seen as something deeper or whatever. So I'm pretty sure, like, if you go in and watch the story, I might be getting two stories confused. You know how I do that. So anyways, that's why you should always check for yourself. But so she is, it's a true story about where she goes in to do this whole expose on the asylum. This a long time ago, and they keep her. They won't let her leave. They make her into a patient, and they've just shown so much of that stuff over and over. And then how it's been released in the documents and stuff. So they felt like they could test if you were in prison, if you were, just like I watched Scrooge so many times over the summer. I mean, over the summer. It could be summer. We don't know. But over the past few weeks, you know. And when they're down there with the present Christmas guy, and he is showing them the poverty, you know, and how Scrooge has such a bad attitude towards them. And they don't want to go to the poorhouses. Well, he pays his taxes to the poorhouses. Like, yeah, but the people, you know, they say it's the worst place ever. It's because it was like the same kind of thing. And the girl in Arizona who I kept seeing, she kept saying that in the poverty housing, so the housing the government has control over, that they had and monitor all sorts of stuff. I just saw a guy, this guy was totally exposing his landlord, whoever the fuck it was, because he found a camera in his house. He went and fucking pulled walls down everywhere. There was cameras in the bathroom. There was cameras all throughout his house watching them. It was creepy as fuck. And this guy was like, he was furious. Like, he did not seem like this is some guy you want to be mad at you. He said not only is he going to expose him, but he's going to go over there and kick that guy's ass. Like, fucking pervert weirdo. Because he has a family. And so the guy's, you know, seeing him changing clothes, all that stuff. And so, but in the poor housing kind of thing, my kids had Section 8 or whatever. And see, I think in England, you know, because remember, everything's beta. I think there is kind of like the government is kind of in charge of all their housing. Like, you can't just go and move. But here, we also have control. The title companies, realtors, developers, banks. So we have control. It's just a different kind of level. And what theirs kind of reminds me more of Section 8 or something, where the government just has, and it's same with Canada. It seems like there's some sort of, you don't get to just move someplace if you want to. Like, you have to have permission. You get a certain size of house or something. I don't know. I may not be understanding all the stuff. It's just my reference when I hear things of how I reference. And so it reminds me of Section 8 here. But, then all of a sudden, besides Section 8, then they start having more poverty, home kind of thing. They're not going to be like, oh, these are, we're creating ghettos here or whatever. They just start changing it. Like if you go to a certain part of town, well, that's the projects. That's the ghetto. Then they do it in the suburbs and they call it reduced housing or something, whatever. They try and market it different, but it's the same kind of shit because it's the government has fucking control over these people. And so the girl in Arizona who was showing her apartments, she was showing like there's monitors, they're monitoring, they're listening, they have direct access to CPS coming in and taking these people's kids all the fucking time, all sorts of fucking maniac shit. And that is because they think that these people are disposable. They can do what they want, and the general population isn't going to pay too much attention. Well, they've shown that they were right about that. They could go in and do all these attacks. I mean, it was in the motherfucking movies that they were doing it in the... And now so much keeps coming out over the past 6 months or whatever. The testing they did on the prisoners, the testing they did on the women's babies in prison, the testing they did on the people in mental health. And when I started putting that all together and I started thinking about the stuff with the meds, and this is what it gets freaky, and I think this is what they wanted me to really push and talk about, was because I had just seen a video, maybe it was this morning, I don't know, how I'm lost in time, but it was real recent, in the past so many hours, and she was saying that there's a big shortage of some medicine. I keep hearing this about certain ones, but this one is like moving up the ranks of dangerous. And so then, because you can't, there's some of these meds you can't go cold turkey. You can't fucking just stop them. And so they're whipping their dicks in all these people's faces. Suddenly you don't get your meds and you can't go cold turkey. What the fuck are you gonna do? There's gonna be some people who are gonna have like some serious fucking problems trying to wean off of these drugs that you can't go cold turkey off of, and they're gonna force it. And I was like, that's the fucking creation of the zombie apocalypse right there. Like, if you've ever weaned off of some of the stuff, especially the stuff that crossed the blood-brain barrier, and that is where they started doing all the testing on that with the psych meds. And they always are doing us a favor, just like, oh, you get your clothes cheaper. It may not be made in America, but it's way cheaper. Same thing they do. It's the same pattern in all of it. But then they get everybody, jump on your label, jump on your diagnosis, and take the meds that they're required for what they are telling you is wrong with you. And if people would really see, like, they're taking your gifts, they're taking something good about you, telling you something's wrong with you, and then trying to drug it out of you. So then once they get you set up on the regime, now they're going to start pulling the rug out from under. And I've seen some people who have been purposely trying to wean off of them, and they said, like one girl, she was talking about, I can't remember which one, it was a antidepressant, maybe it was Wellbutrin, and she said that she'd never been in so much pain in her whole life, and it was like 6 months, I think she was between 6 months and a year in, and she said it was still having such a huge effect on her. And when I went off of Paxil that time, I couldn't believe it. It does make you feel like you're gonna die or something, but then when you realize that the nature behind what they're doing that shit on purpose just to fucking experiment on us and see what happens. And so putting all these people on such a, this whole cocktail, and then pulling the rug out from under them, I was like, oh my God. But see that, they're murdering the homeless right here in front of us. The stuff going on with the prison stuff, like, man, that's just mental. And it's like the flipping too. It's like if you're a decent person, like just arrest a guy because he paid too much child support. But if you're, somebody who's going to be violent on somebody, well, let's let them out. They need to be out there circulating in the population. We need them out there. We need boots on the ground for evil. Let's get all those guys out here on the streets. And no telling what have they been putting in their food? What have they been putting in their water? And then what's going to happen when they get out here and get some of this stuff sprayed on them? When they crank up the frequency, you know? I always think that's really going to affect a lot of people. They keep, I mean, even because I had heard before that they were shorting on the insulin. Like, they fucked with the insulin so many times with those people, with the price going way up, going way down. Like, I've known some diabetics who start cutting back on their insulin, saving it, and all sort. They start trying to be their own mechanic. And it is, you know, the freaking system is just corrupted so badly in that. And, you know, the pharmaceuticals is their big money maker. Testing on us is where they get it all. And then selling things to us is just their bonus, just to see how stupid and gullible we are. Here, barely work your ass off to barely get a nickel, and then give us back the nickel. And we're going to charge you another nickel on top of it. So where are you going to get that one? Maybe you might have to commit some crimes. Like, that's their preference. They want us all to be criminals and perverts and fucking weirdos in this weirdo, creepy world. So, anyways, you know, when I had cut that off and they would not stop, there was some more things too. They were showing me and telling me. Now let me think. I'm telling you, I keep getting really, really trapped in, like, the conversations with them, in the conversation, or the reality, just seem to be getting further and further distance. And so when I'm there in communication, being shown all this stuff, it is so hard sometimes to pull it back into this one. And I started thinking, like, man, am I just like in some sort of weird deep trance all the time? Like, I just walk around like, you know, I don't know. And I don't know, but because there was some other stuff that they were showing me, so I may as well. This is 12 minutes. Think of what the other things were. Let me think of some of the other stuff too that I had seen. There's so many people pointing out the different, like, going in. I saw a guy doing a breakdown on Gerber stuff and the ingredients, and then he did a breakdown on the ingredients. And it's poison, it's a cancer-causing agent, hormone block, like all that stuff right from the go. You know, they started immediately start injecting us with some sort of concoctions, and then they start putting it right into all of our food and everything. It's just like, but you know, I mean, to me, I'm always having to remind myself, on a soul level, we all came here for this. Like, it wasn't like a surprise. So it may be like very surprising for the avatar to realize what's going on, but this fucking soul knew. Yesterday I was kind of a bitch to my one. It's like what? Why? You know, why do you fucking think you're so goddamn fucking superior and so great? You're gonna come and do this kind of shit. Like, this is some bullshit. Like, you ought to be the one down here going through it. Like, this is some fucking bullshit. It's hard. And, you know, just the sicknesses and the chemicals and shit. Like, oh my God. This toxic motherfucking world. And it's so crazy is, you know, I mean, to me, the first place to start, if you want to start feeling better, is to start detoxing all of the, because it's the chemicals and the parasite that is distorting how you feel, you know, and so it is interfering. And so to me, it is, you gotta start with the just detox, get all the chemicals and start, I mean, geez, I get concerned, well, for a long while, even the ones, you know, you put on your skin. I'm now to the point I don't even want to use laundry soap. I'd rather just use vinegar, just anything natural. None of this, the chemicals that stay lingering and attached. And I was just talking to somebody else who was, they'd also noticed, it just fades away. I can see it and then be like, oh, and then it just fades away. Like, okay. I don't know. Uh, the main thing that was being pressured on me, I guess, was the how it's come out where they have said, like, it was like they looked at it as they were doing a benefit to society, like a disabled or retarded person or somebody deemed mentally ill. Because you got to remember, when they started all this stuff, I mean, back then, like, a woman had PMS, well, she's mentally ill, put her in the insane asylum. She argued with her husband, put her in the insane asylum. like they were putting all sorts of people in the insane asylum. It didn't have anything to do with being crazy. They drove them crazy. And then testing them, and then doing, think about lobotomies and fucking shock treatments and shit. Like, oh my God. Barbaric. And see what I'm saying about the barbaric? Oh, and it was a hoverboard. And so David Wilcock was talking about, he's got the patent on the hover cars. And so I was saying, maybe some of these towers are going to be something with the Tesla towers. But I saw in Texas where the first Tesla tower went up, and it looks different than those ones. It looks kind of more like what I had seen. It looked more like a triangle with a ball on the top. But kind of a longer triangle, not just a triangle with a ball on the top. It looked like kind of a wider, no, kind of a more narrow triangle with the ball being a little smaller on the top. So I think, I don't know, my brain could be, I don't know. Maybe it's multiple things. Maybe we just have to see it in a minute, and we are only going to see what we see. Nobody else has to see what we see, and we just have to accept that. And, because that is something that they show me so much about perspective and perception. And, and it's weird how people get so stuck on that, and how this place that we're at, it's all about this mirroring back so you can see yourself, but with everybody looking at someone else and not seeing themselves. And just while I was setting up like for this, a plane went over again, and I am telling you, when I hear these planes out here, to me, my brain just finishes the sound, because it's the sound of a plane crashing, and it's so fucking low, and the sound is so loud, and it's so creepy how long it goes. It's like, man, the sky is falling. Like, there is something weird happening for sure. And to me, a little while ago, when I had opened the door to think you'd get a piece of wood, and it's so dark, like it's still so dark out. I was thinking, well, that could something as simple as that, like just don't turn on the sun or the moon for a couple days. I mean, there's already been so many people. I haven't seen the sun in a long time, but there's so many people, they're under fog and stuff. Like, so just, for them to quit playing their games or something could be the big thing that flipped everything over. But it definitely seems that our physical reality is in the process of flipping right side up. And I don't know how, because it's weird to me how some of this stuff is in the physical that is happening in the spiritual. And so it's trippy, because I'm coming at it from that way. I'm not looking at it from the physical, looking the spiritual. Like, maybe that's like what the religious people are doing. Because to me, even with that can be so manipulated. I mean, they fucking edited and published the book. Like, they pretty well know the book. And then they know how our minds work. They know how to put things in our mind, so we create the world. How that they do it through manipulation. But I mean, that's why everybody relates the stuff to the Matrix and all that. Like, they put it in, it's your reference material. And so it is very much like this is some sort of a learning kind of center. So like, play these video games to learn, to expand your consciousness kind of thing. And but everything is so based on how you look at things and how you perceive them, and how the perception is always changing. There was another guy who I'd just seen, and he was talking about something Oh yeah, this guy. He was talking about when he was he's been in the process of awakening, and he said now he sees the sunrise and stuff all the time. And he said he sees it so different. He said now I sit and I watch it, and he said I every time I start crying, and he goes, and it's all just because of the beauty. He said I just can't get over like this beautiful thing is happening right here, right now, just for me. And he got so he said, and what's sad is how many people think that that's weird, and you're so cut off from the real experience because they're so focused on the fake experience. Which another one was another lady who was the same kind of thing as the other girl I talked about a few weeks ago, where I think she was traveling and met a lady at the pet part and started talking, and they had all these things like the same name. Their dogs had the same name. Their dogs looked alike. They had the same sibling names. They had the same. Her brother died at the same age with the same name as her son died. Like the whole weird thing. And so this girl was another one of those, and she said that she is sure that her manifestation is finally here because they had bought this old house. They had been wanting to redo it, and so she's like, I'm sure this is my manifestation now that it's here, because and she starts seeing all these different names in her family and her dog and stuff, and all these people who showed up all are the same. And I was like, it's so trippy because there is like this whole mirroring, and all the time when we think, but everyone's experience is just slightly different. Like they can look like everybody thinks like, well, what if I would have gone right instead of left? What if I would have went up instead of down? Well, and then everybody's like, well, there's another me doing that. Yeah, there is. They just live next door. It's like they're all around you. You are all of them. They are all having this. We are the experience. We are the experiencers. And everybody's experience is deeply attached to the other, like what I keep saying. It's like this is happening not just for you and your own learning and your own growth and your own expansion, but it's the universal expansion, especially as more groups can work together and come together as one. This was another thing I had heard. I think this may have been from like some spiritual, one of those kinds of group people on there. But they were saying that all of the, and I had talked about this before, so this was kind of like a confirmation kind of thing, even if their perspective was a little bit different. But how there's all these different groups and they all have different philosophies, different ways of seeing things, different perspectives. But the whole point of the game is for them to all come together in unity, and to it's like all of a sudden as they come together, then it's like the game wins. All of a sudden you get all of the answers, kind of like what is that Harrison Ford guy, Raiders of the Lost Ark, whatever that kind of movie, where he would go and do all those kind of crazy things and all that stuff would happen. Like, some of his thing, like you touch something and cause this whole thing to happen. Like all that stuff that was set up in order to guard their truth or whatever. And so that is, okay, let me see why how those two things were being shown, how they related. That's where I get stuck sometimes. Showing me the things. What would that, like, I can't remember what was I saying a second ago. But the perspective and perception. Oh, which guy though? He was well, I don't know, something with the perspective and the perception. I don't know, maybe it was the guy with the sun, and his whole thing where he was talking about that, but that was not what I was saying. I don't know. Then I'll just do the same thing. I'll go stop thinking about it for a second. I'll just be bombarded, and then we're like, well, I told you, get on there, blah, blah. It's like, shut up. God, sometimes I do that sometimes. It's like, shut up. God. I'm like, okay, well, this is what you came here for, so do what you're doing, or do what you're supposed to do. Like, and you know, the stuff they'll say to me too, you know, if I ever get like, okay. So, anyways, I don't remember what I was saying, how that's supposed to be put together now, but, you know, I mean, it is, the whole thing, it all comes back to what they were telling me when I was a kid. This was we were a science experiment from the very beginning. It's all being shown. It's all being exposed. And the depth of it is what is just so shocking. Like, to even think how, I mean, the innate planning to do what they have done. But that is where you see, like, oh, well, that's why they've shortened our lives. They live fucking 700 years, probably, those fucking old motherfuckers. And here we are, you know. But that's how they have been able to establish, you know, this domination, the control over our health, our food. And what was that one too? Oh yeah, and the Wuthering Heights, where it was showing like the racist stuff all the way back. And I know, whatever my gypsy life or something, I know I know that certain lives I had taught me a lot about some of this stuff. But like the gypsies were treated horrible. Oh my gosh. But in Wuthering Heights, so this kid, Heathcliff, and he was just found by the rich guy, but then the son didn't like him or whatever. And so he just constantly, you know, all these smug-ass elite people with their talking down to him, you gypsy beggar and stuff like that. And the way that they control, like, I mean, this was supposed to be in the I think like 1811 or something. And I keep seeing her name, Emily Bronte, maybe that's what it is. She was very much ahead of her time or something, from, if you see the trailer to the movie is, I mean, it's supposedly a biography, but since they manipulate all fucking information, and they manipulate how people presently, so they can easily manipulate our view of people a long time ago. I mean, that's, but one thing I was finding interesting though too is the girl, her name wasn't Emily, I don't think, in the movie. But in the girl that Heathcliff is in love with, oh, there's some really cool stuff with their soul stuff. Like their connection was like a deep soul connection. And, you know, they had that thing that kept bringing them back to each other, but they weren't healed. Like, she was very much, she wanted the material stuff. She saw that as success and stuff. And that is a thing that souls have been playing out in this realm for a long while, about duty and love and desire, and, you know, can a rich person go with a poor person, and all of this social dynamics that were created so that we could establish parameters as souls of identifying how to create love. Hold on. Stop. So the and that one, where she kind of was bouncing back and forth there for a while, if she wanted to go and be like a lady, or if she wanted to be, you know, a peasant. Like, they made that, like, they created the social class, you know, and they've done it throughout different times, but this is the most recent time. And I do think there's something with the 1800s, like, we have some sort of association with that, like, there is something linear through some kind of period in the more recent times. But I had seen another person just recently talking also about the orphan trains. Stop! The orphan trains. And stop it, Stella. The manipulation of the DNA. Anyways, so Stella, stop. God. She is trying to use a lot more words because I've been telling her and stuff. That she needs to do you can't just sit there and do just the same cry about all this stuff. So I have no idea what you're talking about. But she keeps acting like she wants to get on the couch, and then she won't get on the couch. So I don't know what her deal is. But yesterday she did get in the chair, but then she was really uncomfortable, and we just really can't wait till her bed thing gets here. I really hope that thing gets here today, and I really hope it helps. Man, and I just really hope this is our last 10 days of this shit. Like, fuck. Turn off the sun. Turn off all of it. Let us just sit here in the dark for 10 days and think about life and realize some shit. And then turn it on and let us be in this new reality where we're going to be abundant and stuff. I still, like, maybe this is the cataclysm. Maybe I kept thinking that more people were going to be awakened before it happened. But maybe people have been given the opportunity over this slow motherfucking process. So, and there's something all about the percentage, just like there's used to be like over 70% of the people that are a certain percentage awake to a certain amount of things, so. And in the harvest, it's like 51%, like you have to be 51% in your mind in the service of others to not just be a selfish prick. So I guess it's going to be, like in that Anunnaki thing where it talked about, it is kind of like the selfish pricks would not be moving on. And that is funny how it is like all this stuff with Gucci and all this. This was kind of strange too. I've seen so many people with so many disasters, like people coming home, a lot of people coming home. I don't know if they were just traveling over the Christmas thing, but coming home and their pipes burst and now their whole house is destroyed. This one lady, she had a vintage Victorian, whatever kind of house. She kept saying 3 stories, and it was one of those, older redone up or something. I can't remember the words she was using. But I think it's more of a East Coast terms that she was also saying. But so 3 and the pipes burst or something at the very top. And so everything, this happened at my brother's house too. Once that whole story is flooded, then it falls down on the other one. And so she had that. Some rooms were down on the other floor. Some was all the way up. Like, it's a freaking mess. And when she was talking, she was like all devastated. I just came home and there's, see that's the Christmas presents. That's all Gucci, Versace, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. I, hate to say it. But that's the thing, is a lot of people don't understand what's going on, so they don't see what's coming. It's to fucking get you to see. So you can see, like, what was that one too? That woman, she was showing something. I couldn't even watch it for more than a second. It was so braggy. It just came across as so much like so braggy about what she had. I was like, ooh, that is bad timing. Like, ugh, half the people have lost everything, lost their homes. So many people have lost so many people out of their families. Not just the people who have died, but whole families are in major crises and with huge amounts of loss in every different aspect. So, and then to just go out and be completely like oblivious, like bragging. But boy, I am really seeing like, everything. Seriously, everything is coming to the surface and exposing itself. It's, I don't know, it's trippy. But anyways, I'm just gonna, keep hoping like our last 10 days of this hell. Hopefully even they get this done faster. Make it the last 6 days, our last 6 days of hell. That would be joy. But I think it's going to keep being intense because I'm telling you, man, when the planes go over here, it is so fucking creepy how loud they are. So weird. And then of the colors, the poison, all of that stuff. And the inversion, man, it's so easy to see by the mountains. It is so weird, the coloring. It doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. I hope it just spins. And because you have all these people talking about, like, so many people are saying the moon in the center in the wrong place, but then the people who was the pole shift, we're moving, the planets are moving, but I saw a fucking planet, and I know that there is no space, but there's a motherfucking planet. Is it a hologram? Did they put up a hologram just to confuse us more because they're in charge of the stuff? They were in charge of the book. They're creating revelations, like all of that stuff. Like, I don't know. I mean, if it's a hologram, if all this shit is holograms, these planets that are suddenly showing up in the goddamn sky, then why the fuck are they spending all this time and money covering them? Is that all part of it too? We're going to spend billions of dollars telling you that we're trying to protect the climate by spraying poison on you while we're really covering up the planets just so you think we're covering? Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's too many steps for them. I don't know. I'll just tell you, I'll be so glad when we get to fucking see the truth. And I just think that a lot of the truth that people are waiting on is going to be a lot deeper and darker than what people are going to be expecting. Because I don't think a lot of people really understand truly what this place is, what they're doing here. And, and they're going to be all traumatized because they don't know what this place is and they don't know what they're doing here. So anyways, they really wanted me to say that. I would say, seriously, if I was on any kind of, well, you already know, I weaned myself off all the pharmaceuticals. That's them controlling your motherfucking health. That's them controlling your motherfucking mind. So, yeah, I weaned myself off all that shit. So right now, while they're playing these games, fucking shorting this stuff, like right now, I guess there's a shortage on dog food. And for some reason, the only kind of eggs you can find is the same, like, they used to be like 59 cents. I think they're like $5 now for a dozen eggs. But it's the only eggs you can find anywhere. And I saw a girl cooking them. And I have looked. There is no egg. There is only those eggs. I've looked at several places. And here where I'm at, but I keep seeing people online. But this one girl, she had to get those eggs. And so she boiled some up. And then when she took the things off, they were all like mutant looking. And so she did a video to show, like, these are the eggs. I just took the shells off. I boiled these. Look at how mutant looking they are. They looked weird. And then she cuts one open and she gets the little ball thing out in the middle. And so she has it's not fucking edible. It's plastic or something. I don't know what the hell it is. It's like wax or something. Are they turning us all into artificial fruit? All artificial, like all our food's artificial? They're putting this wax coating in the water. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's so mental. I seriously, I don't think that we would be able to go another year. Like, that's one thing. I really don't think. I think most people would be dead. Like, it's too much. So, anyways, I have high hopes that this is our week. This is our week of change, and I have high hopes that when this occurs, that it is going to turn us in the other direction, that's going to be the big thing. So, I don't know. It's all this with the pole shift and the cataclysm, and suddenly we're all going to be underwater. Like, I don't know. But I swear to God, I think this is the week. So, stay strong and stay safe. I keep seeing so much. The California thing is bad news. I don't even know how many people are going to be dead off that. I'm really curious if that's going to wake my brother up at all. Like, man. I'm curious to see what are they going to do going here. Like, I already heard they were doing something in Oregon, and so then Washington State, and right up to Vancouver. See, they'll just get this whole coast right here. And yeah. Man, I don't know. Stay safe, and just remember, you're always where you're supposed to be. and nothing can happen that wasn't supposed to happen. So stay strong, and stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. Unless they come and keep harassing me and tell me to come back and say another thing. Because maybe they want me to finish what I forgot a second ago. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot. Like, just as much as how everything sounds louder, it's like there's like more. It's like everything is more. And, you know, and that is going to feel like a relief, I feel like. You know, when it flips the other way, it's going to be like, oh, I feel like it's going to be so much quiet. I feel like it's going to just be the frequency. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. So